All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's Monroe City Council meeting. This is a regular business meeting for Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. The time right now is 7 p.m. I'm going to ask that our clerk, Simonson, call roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, council members present and establishing quorum. Councilmember Fulcher, Scarborough, Hanford, Walker, Fisher, and there you are. And Councilmember Beaumont has been excused. She mentioned that last week. Thank you.
Thank you. So unless there's objection, we'll consider Councilmember Beaumont's absence as excused. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. That item would be Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask the Councilmember Walker please lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. This is a limited public forum for people to speak to the City Council during this council meeting. Topics are limited to items on tonight's council meeting agenda and to topics specific to city laws, budget, and operations under the council's authority. Comments that are outside the limited scope will not be allowed. Comments that do not follow the council's rule of procedure will not be allowed. Pursuant to council rules of procedure as amended by council action on December 12, 2023, spoken public comment is limited to in-person comment only for all city public meetings, including city council and all boards and commissions until further notice. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Spoken comments that are not within the scope or time limit of this limited public forum can be sent to the council in writing. Information on where to send written comments and to view the rules of procedure is on tonight's agenda and on the screen. We'll now begin public comment, and we'll start off with a list that is before us. I see that Kirk Pearson is here this evening. I'll go ahead and invite Kirk Pearson forward. When you come forward, please state your name and association with the City of Monroe, and then we'll start the 3-minute timer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council Member Kirk Pearson. I'm a lifetime resident of Monroe, actually 4th generation. So I'm here on behalf of Volunteers America, Western Washington.
Thank you.
Timer now? Yep. Okay. But thank you very much. I'm only here tonight because I know that there was some discussion last week regarding rental assistance, and it's going to be administered through Volunteers of America. And real quickly, I just want to let you know about our motel voucher program. It's we've been doing it since 2020, and fortunately, we're pretty fortunate that we have a navigator out here because we do vetting when people are wanting to apply. We do it through coordinated entry, and we do take direct referrals from the city. I believe it's Rachel back there, and it's based on vulnerability. We're looking for families to help first and the elderly. And all participants, they have to have an active housing plan. And there are daily room checks. So we take it very seriously. We've expanded where we're now doing it in Skagit County and especially our coordinated entry program. So I'm just offering myself here that I know that there's some discussion, and welcome to call me anytime, any of you. And back there is Lindsay Gagnon. She runs all our community resource centers, for Volunteers of America and her staff, and she does a wonderful job. And myself and Lindsay, we're available to any of you at any time.
Thank you. And Kirk, to let you know, we didn't put the right timer on the screen. So if you ended up cutting your comment short because it went 3 minutes, went like it felt like it was 1, that's the reason why. So
okay. Well,
I noticed you're looking at the screen.
Now I am. I have all this time. No.
You don't need to use it, I'm just letting you know.
As a lifetime citizen of Monroe, I'm honored to be here. I'm here and honored to be here. I guess someone's being sworn in, so I'm going to get out of the way and see this proceed. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll go ahead and turn to the audience. If there's anybody else who would like to speak to the city council this evening, you don't need to sign in. Please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and I'm going to turn off my timer here, because I'm going to wonder what that was for in 24 hours. Okay, next item on the agenda then is announcements and presentations. This is the police department swearing-in ceremony, and I will invite Chief Jolly to come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. It's a privilege to be here for this swearing-in ceremony.
We got that recorded, right?
We're pleased to have our Monroe PD family here, as well as their family members, to share in this occasion. And at this time, I'll invite Judge Ness to come up, please. We are going to hold two ceremonies. We're going to swear in our two new community service officers. As you're aware, the council approved us using SAID funds to expand our CSO program to enable us to better service the community, address some of those livability issues, and extend our services to 7 days a week. So that's why we have two. And at the conclusion of their swearing in, we have 3 officers that we're going to swear in. We'll do them in 2 groups. So community service officer, Macy Hathaway, will you come up, please? Macy has been with the city for 17 years. She previously served as an administrative assistant and has brought her passion and enthusiasm to her new role. She filled in for a short time when we were absent a CSO and took on those duties enthusiastically and diligently. We're very proud of her and that she's willing to assume these duties on a full-time basis. Should be noted that she was Employee of the Year for the civilian staff for 2023. Now, Amanda Johnson, will you please come up? She joined our department on January 1st, 2024. She lives locally. She has animal grooming experience and has worked at My Only Kennel, has worked with our previous CSO, Gabby Escalante, for some period of time and is familiar with our department. We're proud to have these 2 members here tonight to go ahead and swear them in. Macy, do you want to point out anyone that may be with you tonight?
My daughter, Malia.
Hi.
Hi.
Amanda?
My husband.
Met him just a minute ago. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington and the ordinances of the city of Monroe, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Community Service Officer for the City of Monroe Police Department. That I will faithfully discharge the duties of Community Service Officer for the City of Monroe Police Department to the best of my abilities.
Thank you very much, and welcome aboard. Now we're going to bring forward our 3 new members of our police department. All 3 of these are lateral transfers, have been in the business for some time, are experienced officers. We could not be more fortunate than to have these guys join our police department and continue their career with us and represent our community. First, I'd like to bring up Tom Kayulosi. We practiced this today, Tom. Tom joined us on October 16, 2023. He graduated from the Police Academy in 2016, previously employed by Bellevue Police Department, and was assigned to their special enforcement team. That experience is key because he brings that knowledge and skill set here to our department, very aggressive writing search warrants and conducting investigations out in the field. He and his family live locally, and he's a United States Air Force veteran, attaining the rank of senior airman. Do you have anyone here with you today that you'd like to introduce?
My wife Larissa and my 2 girls, Rowan and Nova.
Welcome. Welcome. Officer Terrence Krug, please come on up. Joined us on October 16, 2023, completed the Police Academy in February 2023. Previously employed by Auburn Police Department, saved a little bit on his commute because he does live locally, so it's kind of nice that you're not having to make that kind of a drive. He's a Marine Corps veteran, attained the rank of sergeant, and he's going to go ahead and extend his presence here in the community, both living, raising children, and contributing to his community. Do you have anybody that you would like to?
My wife Heidi, my son Duncan, and my daughter Valerie.
Welcome. Good to see you. Officer Wyatt Larson, come on up. He joined us on September 16th, 2023. Completed the Police Academy in September of 2023. If I get any of this wrong, then I have a person to talk about later who's the editor for these things. But previously employed by Seattle Police Department, so we have Seattle, Auburn, and Bellevue. He grew up in Everett and lives locally, invested in the community, and received his AA degree from Everett Community College. Dwight, do you have anyone here that you want to? Hi, Sarah. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Judge Ness.
If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington
of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Monroe,
and the ordinances of the city of Monroe,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police officer for the city of Monroe Police Department
of police officer for the city of Monroe Police Department
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the time that you've allotted us, and thank you to the family members and members of this department for showing up. Thank you.
So before our new officers leave, and their families, and also our new community service officers as part of that, this is great. We've had 5 people sworn in this evening, and 3 of you from police officers, as opposed to CSOs, are all laterals. That means a lot that you chose Monroe. And just from my heart to yours and to your families, thank you for having confidence in us and for choosing to come work here. The CSOs, the same thing. Thank you very much for choosing to work here. It's really important to us to have great people, and you are that. I have confidence in that, and if there's anything we can ever do for you or anything, just feel free to reach out. Welcome to our family.
Thank you.
Can you go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is a public hearing. Mayor? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to public hearing. First, as stated at the beginning of the meeting, we do not take public comment remotely. That includes our public hearings. I do see that one person has their hand up. If you're interested in submitting any sort of comment to the record, the email address to council is contact.council. Is that correct? Oh, so what's the email address? So it's cityclerk@monroelaw.gov. So if you're interested in providing testimony this evening, and we're not aware of the fact that we do not provide for remote testimony, you'll want to send an email to cityclerk@monroewa.gov. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. And I'm just going to go ahead and read in the script for the legislative public hearing, and then we'll go to the staff report as part of that. Before we proceed with the public hearing, please note that the rules and procedures that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and on the city's website. To summarize, after the hearing is open, city staff will present a staff report, and council members may ask questions for clarification of staff or wait until another time. The public opening is now hearing. Right? The public hearing is now open. I'm going to go ahead and read the rules out loud. The rules of order for this legislative public hearing are as follows. All speaker comments shall be made from the podium unless the speaker is participating remotely. Any person making comments shall be requested to first give their name. Comments shall be directed to the presiding officer, that would be the mayor, and council body as a whole, and must be reasonably germane to the topic of the hearing. Anybody making out of order comments or taking actions that disrupt the meeting may be subject to removal from the meeting. There will be no demonstrations or interruptions during or at the conclusion of any person's comments or presentations. These rules are intended to promote an orderly system of holding a public hearing, to give every person an opportunity to be heard, and to ensure that no person is intimidated by others when exercising their right of free speech and participation. For the record, I'm informing all parties interested in these proceedings that the city clerk has forwarded to the city council all timely written or otherwise reportable comments that have been submitted regarding the subject matter of this hearing. At this time, I will ask Scott Peterson to provide a description of the matter under consideration. Mr. Peterson, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. It's always a tough act to follow with the police department ceremony, but I'm hoping to ride that energy to this public hearing. The exciting topic tonight is the city's adoption of our 6-year transportation improvement plan. We do this every year as required by state law. RCW 35.77010 requires cities to have a 6-year look ahead of their transportation projects. That also needs to be consistent with our comprehensive plan, which it is because it mirrors the information that's found in our adopted capital facilities plan, which went through a pretty rigorous project process last fall through the commissions and the council hearing and finally adopted in November. The capital facilities plan is all capital projects in the city of Monroe, whereas this transportation improvement plan, as it suggests, focuses on the transportation related projects. So as we move forward, of course, this process goes through a public hearing and then adopting of The resolution is proposed is in the packet. I want to go through a couple highlights here. There we go. Go ahead. We do file this with the state as requested in our statute, so they have a record of our transportation plan. And we need to have this adopted July 1st, so we're well ahead of that schedule. One note, all our plan is for 6 years. A lot of street-related projects rely on federal funding, state funding, grants, if you will, to help see these projects succeed. The staff applies for these grants as they come about. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. In the case when we're not, then those projects likely will just get slid out over to the, years beyond so that we can find a appropriate funding. On the screen is a quick map of our, 18 projects listed in the proposed transportation improvement plan. Some aren't identified with, if you will, because they're considered citywide. For example, the first item is just our preservation of our existing streets. It's all over the city. But in other cases, like number 2, it's a specific location, the 147th Street signal, which is literally right outside the door here. Down at the intersection, those are located on the map for a quick reference. Other items, to just go quickly through this, we're going to reevaluate the streets, our conditions of our streets this year, just kind of recalibrate our program, just to make sure we're tracking and that the conditions are accurately reflected. We have some, what's called flashing crosswalk upgrades, but we're talking about rapid rectangular flashing beacons. We're going to install 6 sets of those this year. We, of course, work to improve our ADA crossings, our sidewalk ramps, if you will, to get to federal compliance. We have plenty to work on, and we tackle quite a few of those, probably average about 40 of those a year to start our program. Sidewalk improvements, it's kind of a catch-all. We look for opportunities to find grants to help us fill in our sidewalk gaps. This spring, we're going to start a sidewalk project on 179, for example, and that's for that train and noise reduction area. Sometimes people call it quiet zone. That's our ongoing effort to improve our rail crossing so that someday maybe we can convince the railroad not to honk their horns. Number 9 on the list, Turning Place. That's Oak Street behind the Coastal Farm. That's been on our comp plan list to improve that. We do have funding for that. It's a program that kicks off in 2026, the design phase. Coming down, number 10, Railroad Avenue right-of-way acquisition. Earlier this year, we worked with the adjacent property owner, but long term, we like to obtain more right-of-way in that location. 11 and 12, these are both, I'll call it catch-alls, but sidewalk panel replacement program is simply looking for where we have upheaved or bad panels where we need to go and strategically fix those to remove the tripping hazard. Economic Development Advisory Board has, a set aside for working on sidewalks that are near and dear to their heart. So we have some set aside money for them. Number 13, trying to clean up this skyscape. Raise the skyline by trying to get some of those overhead utilities underground to help improve the aesthetics of downtown. Number 14, get there. Number 14, we talked about adding more trail illumination near the Thai area in Thailand, just evening recreation. For that safety. Number 15, Chain Lake Road is up there, shown on the map. It's just on the comp plan. That's pretty much widening the corridor a bit. Getting a little bit more traffic up there. It's time to see about making some improvements on that section of Chain Lake Road. Number 16 is an industrious effort. We would like to see a way to get over the train tracks instead of waiting for the train to go by. So it's a pretty expensive project, but looking at the location, applying for grants to do a study about maybe creating overpass. 17, to provide secondary access to the Eastern Cove neighborhood. And of course, number 18, we'd like to improve Powell Street. We did a section of Powell Street earlier, but we'd like moving on, this got really small, and my apologies for it. It's a financial outlay of the projects, and I need to spin. These projects, the funding year, on the far right column of interest is if we have money identified for the project, we listed it there. And so you'll see federal, this is state grant opportunities through the 37 loans, PSRC, and then Transportation Improvement Board, CIB, as well as their TBD, the Transportation Benefit District. These are all important funding partners to help us see our transportation projects. That's quick, a quick presentation of the TIP. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you very much. Council members, do you have any clarifying questions for staff? All right, at this time I'll ask if there are any members of the public or council members who wish to speak to this matter. We'll start off with members of the public. Unless council wishes to impose a different time limitation, there'll be a 2-minute time limitation on each speaker. Your time will begin after you introduce yourself and provide your area of residence or association with the city of Monroe. Please be respectful of all speakers and of the hearing procedure itself. Please also note that this hearing is an opportunity for you to address the city council. It's not intended to be a question and answer session. So with that said, is there anybody here that would like to speak to this hearing? All right, seeing none, I'm going to turn to the council. Do any council members have additional questions to ask of staff? Okay. And again, I'm going to remind attendees, there is one person with their hand up. If you would like to submit any sort of, we do not have a public hearing done remotely, so we will not be calling on people remotely. We are now going to move to close the public hearing. So council members, unless there is objection, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Okay, there being no objection, the hearing is now closed. Good, all right. We'll go ahead and move on to the requested action. The requested action is on the screen. And I turn to the council. Councilmember Scarborough, go ahead.
Move to adopt resolution 2024-004, adopting a 6-year transportation improvement program for the years 2024 to 2029.
Folger, second.
You have a motion from Councilmember Scarborough. There you go. Let's go with that. I'm just blending names this evening. I think that was probably Gamble with the L and Scarborough. I don't know how we got there. But Councilmember Scarborough with the motion, followed by Councilmember Fulcher with the second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Scott.
All right, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. That item would be the consent agenda, and I turn to the council. Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second.
You know, let's go with a second. You know, legislative body should really do that. There should be rules about things like that. Yeah. So, Councilmember Hanford, Councilmember Scarborough, Councilmember Gamble is seconding it. So, with that said, is there discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. So this is item 8.1. This is Monroe 30 annexation notice of intent to commence annexation initial meeting. And I call for Madam Wright to come forward. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. At our last meeting, I notified council of an annexation petition that was submitted to the city on January 8th. And this was for property of about 30 acres. It's east of the Monroe Woodlands and it's west of the Washington Lane. Per RCW 35A 120, City Council is required to have an initial meeting with the initiating party. And as stated in the agenda bill, this annexation is just a smaller version of the North 41 annexation petition that we received in 2022. That annexation petition was withdrawn, and then this one was submitted for a smaller area. As with the original application, we're working with the applicants regarding a few items that require additional information prior to City Council considering this 10% petition. One of the items is parks. Monroe's 2022 Parks Rec and Open Space Plan identifies a need for a 4-acre park somewhere in that area. So that's something that we're working with them on. Another item is roads and circulation. It's because it's outside of our corporate limits. The 2015 transportation plan doesn't include existing conditions or an analysis or planned improvements of the road network in that area. So we might have to have some coordination with Snohomish County as a part of the annexation agreement. So city staff will continue these discussions with the proponents to identify and complete the legal mechanism to ensure the city's needs are met and to provide city services and amenities for future Monroe residents. The purpose of this initial meeting is your opportunity to evaluate the proposed annexation and to determine whether to accept, reject, or modify the annexation boundaries, require indebtedness, and authorize the applicants to proceed with the collection of signatures for the 60% petition. Tonight, David Toyer, who's the initiating party, is here this evening remotely for your full initial meeting.
Great, thank you very much. Is there, does Mr. Clare come forward?
He does.
Okay, all right. David, you are.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I appreciate staff's comments. I'm happy to answer any questions the council has. This is a pretty standard annexation. I know that council had already looked at a version of this that was slightly larger in size. Unfortunately, there was just not enough support amongst folks in that annexation area to move it forward as it was proposed at that time. We've continued to work with the parties that were interested in annexation, and we've now brought this annexation forward in the process and would appreciate council's support to keep it moving while we work with staff on some of their items that they just raised in the staff report. And also, you know, this is, the annexation is not a short process. There's multiple steps and layers to it. And we'll be back in front of council, you know, at least 2 more times in the future for both the 60% as well as final action. So if you've got any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but just appreciate your time this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Anything? Okay, great, thank you. Council members, do you have any questions or a motion? Go ahead, council member.
So if I understand this right, you couldn't get enough cooperation from the neighbors, so you ran it up the flagpole again with a different amount of people, Mr. Toyer?
Yeah, there were a couple of property owners in the area that are just adamantly opposed to annexation. And so it was really just excluding those that were opposed. We believe that we've got pretty much everybody that's now in the annexation area that's in support of this. Obviously need to go back around at the 60% and get signatures, but we've got nearly unanimous support amongst those in the 30 acres of the total area that remain.
In an area that is notoriously against annexing, got it. For you, Amy, when it comes to the level of service that we'll be providing all these people, are we figuring all that into the questions? That was my immediate thought, was it's a lot of new homes, and it's a lot of sending our services out, sorry, that direction. I'm looking at the map and it's this direction, but that direction. And we figure that into the whole process, right?
Yes, so after this phase, the city will be conducting a cost benefit analysis and looking at all those factors.
Okay, thanks, that's all I have.
Go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough.
To dovetail on Councilman Fulcher's comment, do I assume that the people who don't want it are on the bottom of that already have lots and houses built in the area?
David.
I'm
Go ahead,
I'm
David.
having a hard time hearing that.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
Okay, do I assume that the area you have shown for annexation appears to be sparsely populated as opposed to the lots and homes below that? Are those the people that are not for annexing? Ones on the bottom of that?
yes, sir. That we made contact with many of those property owners, and they were very much not in favor of annexation. Reminded me that they had been asked previously by the city a couple of times as a part of annexation processes, and had no interest in being a part of the city.
Did they say what part of annexation they don't like?
I'll paraphrase, but in essence, they don't want. One owner made the comment of they don't want any more California in their neighborhood, and that was, I think, a reference to the fact that as annexation happens and properties are developed, they're not they would rather be in a rural area inside an urban growth boundary than be in an urban growth boundary as GMA envisions.
Okay, so does annexation include bringing sewer up there?
Yeah, there is sewer already up there in an area that was annexed not that long ago by the city. But the annexation doesn't involve sewer itself. Any future development might, any future development would be contingent, obviously, on providing utilities and so forth.
I guess what I'm getting at, the people that don't want the annexation, are they assuming that they'll be forced to, at some point, have sewer instead of septics?
That was not something that came up in any of the conversations that I had with those folks. I mean, we do get that on occasion. Our firm works on annexations in a number of locations, and that is oftentimes a common question. I think this is really just folks that see themselves as being in a distinct area, and they don't want to be in the city. I mean, the debt, we didn't get into long conversations with anybody. It was just very clear early on in conversations with individuals that they are not interested in annexation, period.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker, go ahead.
Mr. Toyer, how far in each direction did you go? I don't know if you have the map in front of you to reference, but just curious for our future knowledge.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map, and what we did was we kind of took over the Monroe 41 annexation midstream. There was a consultant on it previously. We went and made contact with individuals that were in those boundaries. We didn't go outside of that area to reach out to folks. And then coming in with the 30-acre annexation area, really kind of how we saw things was where we look at the annexation criteria in which the boundary review board determines, whether annexations meet, their various different elements that they look for in an annexation. And so one of the challenges up here was to try to come up with boundaries that make sense based on the boundary review board criteria. One of those is you can't split up like neighborhoods and It's not ideal to split up subdivisions and those sorts of things. And so as we looked around the surrounding properties and so forth in this area, there are pre-existing, older, often pre-GMA subdivisions. And if we tried to expand it to other locations, we would be bringing in portions of other areas. And that's really not looked at very favorably by Boundary Review Board. And so that's what we focused in on, the areas of that the original annexation area that were very much a majority in favor of annexation and had previously been signed on to the 60% for the larger area.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Any other questions or motion from the council? Councilmember Fulcher, go ahead.
It's me again. Amy, would you remind me of the process, because I'm only seeing one signature on here, and I wonder if this is one guy making this happen and a whole neighborhood who's not gonna like it. So remind me of the process, please.
Sure, so at this stage, they need to get 10% of the assessed value of the properties in the area for the proposed annexation. You can probably correct me, but his firm holds 2 of the properties at this moment, and those are the signatures you're seeing there. It's more than 10% at this time. The next phase is that they'll need to get 60% of the assessed value of the properties in that area. We'll need to go back out and get more signatures in the future.
Yeah, and if I can add, because I think she mentioned my name, my audio is kind of poor tonight. We did this 10% with basically the signatures to get to the 10%. We had gathered signatures on the prior 60% petition of pretty much all of the properties in this 30-acre area. And it just was more a matter of not wanting to bother people, for additional signatures at this time until we were further along in the annexation process and back to a 60% petition.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
Amy, if we approve this tonight, it comes back to us before it goes to the county, is that correct?
It does come back to the council 2 more times.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or motion? Councilmember Campbell, go ahead.
I move to direct staff to prepare and return for the City Council's consideration a resolution accepting the annexation boundary of the 10% annexation petition for the property located in an unincorporated area in the northwest urban growth area, and to require the assumption of existing indebtedness of the city by the area to be annexed, to authorize the circulation of a petition for annexation of the property, subject to the zone designation set forth in Ordinance 018/2019, and consistent with this motion, and to direct the city clerk to record this action on the official minutes.
We have a motion from Councilmember Campbell. Thanks for reading all of that. And you have a second, because we've established that we should do that here. Councilmember Hanford with a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting tonight. I just make sure I'm correct. 5-1 with Councilmember Fulcher voting against. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 8.2 under unfinished business. This is the 2023-2024 Human Services Awards. And I see that our Human Services Coordinator is here, Rachel Adams. Go ahead.
Mayor Thomas and Monroe City Council members. Happy to be bringing this item back to you tonight to hopefully approve the Community Human Services Advisory Board recommendations to award $250,000 to St. Vincent de Paul, $30,000 to Monroe Gospel Women's Mission, and $20,000 to Cocoon House. These awards are to provide housing with wraparound services. And last time this item came before the council, there was some concern expressed around accountability and ensuring that the money was being spent as applied for. So staff has gone ahead and drafted reporting requirements and the scope of work that is attached to this item for review. The reporting requirements include things like the client identification number through HMIS, verification of housing status, a FEN-Jorsted self-sufficiency matrix, which is a tool used by the county that helps to assess the need for wraparound services across 16 domains that pertain to an individual who's in crisis or stable. Also has time spent in program outcomes, sustainability, and the total program costs associated with each client. Additionally, there will be quarterly reporting on-site visits, and these reporting requirements and the scope of work was reviewed by the Public Safety Committee. And questions were answered by staff at that time also. So if there are any additional questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you very much. Attorney Counsel, Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Adams. When you say random site visits, who's performing the site visits?
That would be me.
Okay. And they can be done at any time?
Yes.
Okay, unannounced?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, I'm thrilled that I'm thrilled to be helping these organizations, and I know all three of them. I can speak highly of the lower two. I'm not as familiar with St. Vincent de Paul, but very, very happy that we're able to do this. So I move to approve the Community Human Services Advisory Board recommendations of awarding the 2023-2024 Human Services Award as follows: $250,000 awarded to St. Vincent de Paul, $30,000 awarded to Monroe Gospel Women's Mission, $20,000 awarded to Cocoon House.
There's a motion made by Councilmember Hanford. Before I recognize flags, is there a second?
Looking for a second?
Yeah. Okay. And Councilmember Gamble with the second. All right, discussion on the motion. Councilmember Walker, go ahead.
Rachel, thank you for the work that you put into bringing this back to us. I just had a question about when it comes to accountability on an application like the Gospel Mission, where the expenses are hourly reimbursements for in-house staff members, and they are the ones that are assigned with conducting some of the wraparound services. How is kind of accountability kept in that situation? Meaning if they say this is to reimburse one of our staff members to do life skills training with a person in the program, how does the city make sure that that amount on the line item? And I don't know if there's an answer for that. I just, that would be my only concern.
Yeah, so I would look to the total program costs associated with each client and on-site visits for a conversation about each client.
If you're going, I feel good.
Other flags? Go ahead, Councilmember Fulcher.
Thank you, first of all. You addressed the concerns that we had back in January, December. And this was a strong concern of ours, that there was no way for us to check on how things were happening. And you put together a really good program, so it was very thoughtful and exactly what we asked for. So I think that you have allayed all of our fears, and things will work.
Any other questions or comments from the council? There's a motion on the table. We'll go ahead and move to vote. So I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right. Good job. I know, just giving you a hard time to do that, right? So new business item number 9.1, council directed funding for Take the Next Step Mental Health Services, Second Amendment to contract number 2022-102 with Ms. Adams again.
All right, so this item is from previous discussion also on December 12th. Council requested during council member reports that for the reallocation of the block party contract into mobile mental health, into mental health services, supporting Take the Next Step in their program. And we've gone ahead and, with the help of our city attorney, drafted that amendment, and it is here for the council to review.
All right, thank you very much. I turn to the council, questions, comments, or a motion? Councilmember Fulcher.
I will go ahead and make a motion. Move to approve the second amendment to contract number 2022-102.
Second, Fisher.
We have a motion from Councilmember Fulcher, a second from Councilmember Fisher for the request action shown on the slide for new business item number 9.1. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is council members' reports. I flipped the page too quickly and my slide doesn't look right. So we'll go ahead and start with Councilmember Fulcher.
I was just checking my book to see what I've been doing. I know there's lots of it, but it's anything you want to hear about. I'm just going to go ahead and say it's a great week and nothing to report.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Hanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Campbell. It's like dodgeball. Okay. Councilmember Fisher.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Scarborough.
Nothing to report.
All right. Councilmember Walker.
I just want to say congratulations and thank you so much to our police officers and SEOs that were sworn in tonight.
Thank you.
We were one away from a total Ed Davis update.
Someone has to say it.
You know,
I wanted to,
you
but-
said you had big shoes to fill. You're not filling them tonight.
I was having a crisis over here. Nothing to report.
Sorry, Councilmember. Someone had to say it. All right, well, there you go. We're gonna go ahead and do staff and department reports now. First one is the police department report. Let's get going. We'll redo.
Thank you, Mayor Thomas. Hi again, council. Your report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I would point out one item. On January 21st, the police department organized did a women in public safety event at the Galaxy Theater. I'm very proud of that. Several agencies, public dispatch, fire, participated in that, geared towards providing opportunities and information for women who want to get into the public safety career. Phenomenal event. I want to give all the credit to Natalie, Michelle, one of our officers, as well as Macy Cavalry, who you saw here tonight. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions for Chief? Chief, how many vacancies do we have from our commission ranks?
We have two.
Yes, sir. Very good. Thank you very much. Next report out we have is community development report with Director Bailey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is the monthly report for January, our first one of the year. And our highlighted project probably comes as no surprise to everybody, but it was IHOP, which has been open for a while, but it did open in January. So that's why it's the January report. They seem to be doing well. The next stage in that project will be a Starbucks that's going to be developed in the building that's right next to where IHOP is. So you'll see some development occurring down there soon. On the particularly building permits submittal, we just finalized the Garibaldi subdivision, which is on the left-hand side as you go on Chain Lake Road, which is 90 lots, and we are expecting them to attempt to submit all of their building permits before March 15th when we adopt the new building code. So
You said 90
90.
single, so 90 detached residential building permits
Correct.
before the Ides of March.
That is their goal.
Okay.
So we will,
I just had to retake.
we will see if they make that. Yes, the numbers were correct.
Okay, cool.
So that will keep us busy. Speaking of which, our building department is currently down two staff members. Although we are, I believe, close to hiring a new permit tech, and we are doing interviews for building inspector. And because we are down the building inspector, we're currently not doing inspections on Fridays, and we've noticed out on the website and to the developers, and that seems to be going okay. On the positive staffing note, our permit tech, Gloriana Gupta, just got her ICC permit tech certification. She's been with the city for less than a year, so that's quite an accomplishment to be able to get that certification. And then moving down to our ongoing project with comprehensive plan, just one announcement: we will be doing our third community advisory committee meeting on Thursday, weekday. So with that, I'll conclude unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough.
I have heard, and maybe you can confirm with you, the Starbucks is gonna be a drive-through only.
I know that it's going to have a drive-through. I don't know if it's drive-through only though.
Okay, that's what the people at the other Starbucks have told me.
That may be true.
For your edification.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Walker.
Is there a breakfast place going in at the Bacon Short Flat?
You almost got me.
Nothing else?
I didn't think I could make anything up on that. Although I was going to say that's a free app, and so it's not an application. So that's a good.
Guy's got an opportunity.
Jake, Bacon Short Flat, you just got to ham it up today. All right, anything else for Lance?
Good egg.
All right. And Kyle, when you move that, when I'm not quite looking at you and you move your hat, I think your flag goes up because it's orange. I must call on you.
I constantly have questions tonight.
The orange hat's throwing me off. All right. Finance Department, Director Hassert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm actually happy to be last tonight because, as you know, there are always 12 attachments to my report, and I figured since this was January's report, I would take you through each and every one of them so that you know what you're looking at for the rest of the year. Just kidding.
Do it.
It is in the packet, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Kyle's hat. Nope. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and go to the city administrator report for the extended agenda. Administrator May.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. So looking forward on the extended agenda to our first meeting in March, on March 5th. We will have a public safety committee meeting, and we do have 2 items on that agenda. We have an update on the gun buyback program, looking for some direction from the committee, and then a public safety impact discussion as well. For the regular study session that evening, we have an annual report from Judge Ness on the municipal court. And then moving on to discussion items, the 2040 comprehensive plan, the transportation element, multimodal level of service standard requirements, and then the plan guiding principles. So the comprehensive plan is moving along, and it will be a regular item on council study session and regular meetings from here until the end of the year. So this is just the beginning of the wave. It's going to be the comprehensive plan. But thank you to staff who've been working to bring this forward. It's been behind the scenes for more than a year now. For then March 12th meeting, we have a Legislative Affairs Committee meeting. We will have the selection of chair, committee work plan, an email retention policy, options for council rules and procedure, and then a resolution extending the GSAB, which will expire later in the year, award bid authorization to sign a contract, and then the water main replacement contract. For the regular business meeting, we've got the regular accounts payable, the meeting minutes, payroll, committee, board, and commission work plan, and extension of the use of the fairgrounds dog park. We have a final action for a resolution accepting the 10% Monroe 30 annexation petition, and then renewing the GSAP resolution. Those are the items coming forward for the next.
All right, thank you very much. Questions, Councilmember Hanford?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the 12th will be in DC for the conference. So it says Pledge of Allegiance Hanford, but Angloma absent, but there'll be 3 of us absent. So just some changes there. Thank you.
Thank you for noting that, Councilmember Hanford.
It's a 3-hour time difference. You can attend remotely. You only have a thing at 10 o'clock going on. Come on, scooters. Scooters. Let's do it.
The scooters are all rented at that.
Okay. All right, any other questions or items on the extended agenda? Yes, Councilmember Fisher's hat.
I was just needing a refreshment on who's on legislative affairs. Okay, so we'll be good. Okay, so we'll be here. Okay, just making sure.
Okay, cool, thank you. All right, city administrator report.
Just have one item for the city administrator report. I just shared a couple of pictures of what's going on at the municipal campus. So you can see the dates, the tear down of Joe's shop, and then what the campus is beginning to look like. I didn't have an opportunity, although I was on campus today, to take a picture of, there's even fewer walls left than there were on the 15th. But the project is moving along nicely. We'll continue to share regular updates as things begin to change.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All right, thank you very much, everybody. Mayor's report, just refer you to the report there in Monroe this week. And there is no need for an executive session this evening, right? I'm not even going to make jokes about it this evening. And I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, there being no further business, unless there's objection, we will be adjourned, and we are adjourned. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.